Hello. Hey. Hi. It is I, Doctor BeepBoop, your hyperactive ghost host. Before we get into today's episode, I'm going to give you a trigger warning. The themes in today's episode involve relationship violence, domestic violence, various forms of assault, and significant age differences in relationships. I was really devastated with the technical issue that happened last week. But let's get started on this week's episode. I felt something cold in my hand.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow, I really needed that.
I realized that Mad Girl 1 had placed my drink in my hand. I was feeling uncomfortable with the sensation on my cheek. And I remembered what I'd learned in the center the previous year, that cold could both ground your sensations in the present and slow your body's trauma responses by reducing your temperature. You don't have to feel hot to benefit from this approach. You just need everything in your body to slow down, just enough to catch your breath. You need to reach safety first. Live music spaces are public arenas where you could potentially be triggered at any time, but we don't often expect to be triggered at an event we've intentionally chosen to release the tension. What goes on in our minds isn't something we're required to share. Is it really any safer to share it? But there are moments when what's inside crawls up our nervous system and escapes through our skin. You can't always plan it, but you can stay safe by asking the bartender or the server for a piece of ice. Place that ice in your palm and close your hand tightly around it. The sensation is uncomfortable. It's best when it is, but it'll help ground you in the present moment by keeping your sensations in the present moment. And the cold will also begin to slow your bodily trauma responses. You don't have to feel hot to benefit from slowing your heart, pulse, and hopefully your thoughts. I kept feeling this strange sensation across my cheek, and I couldn't settle on what it could possibly be. Sometimes these are the moments where our body is trying to tell us that we're already on the path to a panic attack. We're almost there, even if there's a cute ponytailed woman on the stage.
Or off the stage. Or right next to us, now walking around the audience. Ooh!
And that's when I realized there's another factor at play. Something that should have been obvious to me. One person from that evening was there in 1997, not long after I left. That guy. That would be Mad Girl 1. Ah, you probably didn't see that one coming. Well, you know, I hadn't thought about it in that night either. But it did hit me. It's not the kind of thing that you would lean over and tell a friend that you love dearly.
Hey, I think I'm reliving a trauma moment because you're here.
It's not the kind of thing you say, even if you know that friend well enough to know that she would just think,
oh, that makes sense.
There likely was something about KANGA's music, and she was beginning to play. Likely lyrics triggering my brain or something to that effect. But I thought about Mad Girl 1 because something I realized is that Mad Girl 1 knew him. Well, I not know him as though a friend would know him. I'm not sure anyone knew him. Not even me. Not even his professors. But she knew of him because he was known. In fact, there's a pretty funny story about that guy that I'll tell you when we need the joke the most. 3 years of turmoil with an awful man had ended less than 6 months before I met Mad Girl 1. I moved up closer to the front because that's what I needed. I needed immersion that night to block out the CPTSD response by getting as close and to become as enveloped in the music as possible. But I found I just couldn't block it out. So my main goal was to just not eat the floor. And that's when I decided I'm going to try to go harder on my photos for this set. That I would instead begin to focus on KANGA as she moved around the stage so that I could anticipate her movements. And if I sensed that she was moving to the right, then I would move to the right before she did, and then I would try to catch her in the frame. I didn't do a very good job that night, but it definitely did bring me out of the trauma memory to a place where I could at least process it in the moment. My amygdala must be done with this issue because it's better now, but it makes me nauseous.
Kind of like I hadn't eaten. Kind of like I was hungry and yet at the same time didn't want to touch a thing. Like I was when I met him.
I will forever remember that guy's silhouette in the dark room with just enough moonlight. After that guy warned me, I felt a darker inner turn, because that's what it was. It was a warning. My young self still wanted to make sure there was clarity. I didn't want to have this conversation again, even though I would.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying? You should leave.
He began to stand up slowly and repeated,
You should leave.
He was still standing still in his room when I turned my back to leave the room. I figured, okay, I would accept this message and I would leave. I could feel a strange electricity, like my nervous response to the vibe as I started to realize what could be happening, but I still questioned myself if I was overreacting. If only I'd believed him sooner and moved faster. How would the saga with that guy have ended if I'd just listened?
Baby, your drink!
God, I love that woman. She doesn't even know her magic to me is her timing. It is a sense that she knows without knowing. It's all the time with Mad Girl 1. It's a magic, unknown ability to always land right when I need her most. It's cosmic. It doesn't have to be intentional. We don't have to align any other value with it, except to know that she's always on time. There are some friendships that are just cosmic. But in Crowbar, I felt exposed, and it simply wasn't safe to stay in this headspace. So I grabbed my phone and did what I always do. Start a spatial analysis and pay attention to movements in a bid to guess the next move. I'm not terrible at it, but I'm improving. I made it well into KANGA's set, but this memory was now top of mind. My problem was that it's not the kind of moment to talk to anyone about that kind of memory, and it's definitely not the time to confide in anyone about it, even your best friends. I thought to myself, just get through the set, you crazy bitch. Processing trauma memories can feel a bit like releasing the poison. Your hope over time is to hand it back to the person who deserves to carry it, and I assure you, what happened after that moment was, well, I'll get there, because this particular memory would trip through the acts for the entire night and to some degree the entire music festival. So, out of nowhere, I noticed that I felt strangely alive, as though my senses were present, but not in a bad way, even if it took a while more to return fully to the moment, which KANGA facilitated in an unexpected way. KANGA calls. KANGA was weirdly triggering the double experience of my trauma and my sexuality. Two things too intimately connected to talk about in polite conversations, even if we are not polite people in my subcultures. When she came out on stage originally, I thought she was more relaxed in person than I expected, and her vocals sort of matched that vibe at first. She's that version of cute, sexy a lot of people appreciate. Her opening that night was a sort of feathery entry into her set that then dropped us into a sexier beat. I think it would be all too easy to look at a person like me under a microscope in a sense that my trauma and my sexuality being so closely intertwined is sort of a disgusting thing. But these are the people that don't have orgasms. Just saying. Just saying. When our trauma and our sexuality are so intensely intertwined, it is very difficult to ask ourselves which we would prefer to live by. Would we prefer to have as many orgasms as we please, or would we prefer to just forget that the trauma ever happened? Well, you could probably guess. You can probably already guess who I am because I'm spoon feeding it to you right now. So from the time she came out on stage until the time when she drops into Vital Signs, I'm having a sense that this is going to feel a lot more sexual than I expected. I will never apologize for the things that I cannot control. I will never apologize for the fact that my sexuality and my trauma are so closely intertwined. I will not apologize for the fact that this makes my life difficult. This makes my life and the choices that I've made in the past somewhat treacherous. But what I will say is that I will sign up to be me if it means that I can have 5 orgasms. That's what I'm saying. And if you're asking yourself, what do you mean 5? Because you're not even sure what 1 is, maybe you need to get a little bit closer to your trauma. I'm just saying. And if you are someone who says, oh, that's disgusting, then I think you might need the most help of all the people listening to this podcast, even more than the host. But another thing emerges too, that the following emotion from this is that I often just feel sad for a younger version of me. I feel sad that this was the beginning to my life and that this was the context in which so many things were defined. This was not even the worst thing that happened to me in my life. I'm just saying that now. Was it awful? Yes. Was it the result of the other traumas? Yes. Was it the worst? No. And yet something about this experience makes me feel that level of disgust. It makes me feel that level in my gut when I think about it, because why didn't I see it? Why didn't I see what things were? Why didn't I notice the way things were? And a difficult reality is that I kinda did, but I wasn't sure what other choices I could have possibly made at that age. This makes me sad. It's not inappropriate considering what I was thinking about that evening, and this is a fucking roller coaster of emotions at this point. The tone makes for this perfect vibe that allows my visualizing skills to handle difficult events like it's a movie score. Hence my obsession with music videos and the days of MTV in Daytona Beach, which I've mentioned many times is where I grew up. But what I think about now was that night in Crowbar, I was feeling the thing on my cheek, this sensation on my cheek. And I realized that night that the feeling on my cheek was that was me running.
The wind on my cheek. The wind on my cheek is me running through the dark.
Running through the dark, and then
the dirt in my mouth. The dirt in my mouth. Was this the first floor I ever tasted?
And as KANGA left the stage to join the crowd on the floor, the seductive tones were making me feel something I realized I hadn't in so very long, but also in the context of the troubling juxtaposition of my trauma and sexuality. And it seems as though we have yet another equation. Yes, we have sex math. We have
BeepBoop plus trauma memory multiplied by re-emerging sex drive, subtract inhibitions equals come wreck this.
And even still, I think, if only I'd listened, if only I'd left at the first sense of danger, if only I'd launched and taken flight upwards into the night air, if only I'd run
sooner.